Morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. We come to you right after a thrilling college football playoff game on the Mike Francesa channel, on the Bet Rivers Network on YouTube, as Notre Dame outlasts, and that's the word, outlasts Penn State and wins it on a late field goal in what was a tremendously exciting and very, very hard-fought game. Listen, these two teams were very, very even in a lot of ways, okay? They both had their moments. They both had to make their comebacks. You know, Notre Dame gets down 10-0. Their quarterback takes a hit in the head. They've lost two offensive linemen, replaced them with two guys who really, one guy hadn't played all year, the other guy had only taken 60 snaps all year, and they lost their left tackle, which is very tough against a team that has excellent edge personnel, which Penn State does. I thought a huge key in this game was the backup quarterback coming in and getting that field goal before the half. I thought with Notre Dame getting the ball to start the third quarter, they would come out. And the one thing you know, if you've watched the Irish this year, they are extremely resourceful. They are not going to leave the fight in the locker room. They are not going to give up, and they are extremely good at making the play that has to be made. You know, some teams have a knack for that. Notre Dame is opportunistic. No team in recent memory of college football has been better at turning opponents over in big spots than Notre Dame has. They have done it all year. They have capitalized on it all year, and they did it again tonight, thanks to Allen making a really bad throw and Franklin coming up with what is usually his very questionable play calling and strategy at the end of tight games. Franklin has a very good team at Penn State. They are very bad against big-time teams, and they are very bad in big, tight games. That's Franklin's MO. He is terrible at the end of big games, and he was bad again at the end of this one. I'll get to it. How do we get there? Notre Dame has two INTs. Penn State has two INTs negated by legitimate pass interference calls, but still very good for them because two interceptions called back because of pass interference calls, and they were both legitimate pass interference calls. I have no problem with that. Penn State ran the ball really well on Notre Dame for most of this game. Ran the ball really well, and they got the ball to the tight end. Warren, who is a great player, is going to be a tremendous pro, had 5 catches for 72 yards. Notre Dame lost 2 offensive linemen, as we talked about. They had to have their quarterback leave the game for a little while. Luckily, he came back in the second half. But the one thing, if you've watched Notre Dame this year, their greatest vulnerability has been to the long pass. They have given up long passes all year. They gave them up to USC. They gave them up to Georgia. They've given them up all year. These guys didn't try to get the ball to their wide receivers, and especially their speedster, not one time in this game until they ran a pattern on the play that was intercepted where really he wasn't even in the play when the interception was thrown because he had to throw it out of desperation. He threw it, and the receiver was trying to come back to the ball, but now the defender, Gray, had a better angle on the ball than the receiver did. So they never got a completion to their wide receivers the entire night, not one time. And that turned out to be a huge factor because when they got ahead 24-17, they tied the game up 17-0 with a 17-17 with a really good drive. They get the ball to the tight ends. They get the ball to the backs. The backs run the ball into the end zone. Singleton's having a big night. They get the game 17. Notre Dame throws a pick. Now they take the field. Penn State, they go up 24-17. This is where Notre Dame shows you, again, their resourcefulness. They haven't done a lot offensively. They haven't had a lot of big plays. What happens? They hit a 54-yard pass play to tie the game up. Resourceful. Moment. Making the big play in the moment. That's what this Notre Dame team that's what has done all year. That's why they are going to play in the championship game against the Ohio State-Texas winner. And I told you before this started, I thought it was going to be Notre Dame against the Ohio State-Oregon winner. I thought Notre Dame was going to play for the championship. I didn't think it was going to be easy against Georgia, and it wasn't. I didn't think it was going to be easy against Penn State, and it sure wasn't. Penn State gets the ball back. And I'm saying, this is where. And McElroy on TV was calling for it. He called for it the entire fourth quarter. Hey, Notre Dame's walking everybody up. You got to throw the ball over the top. You got to throw the ball over the top. They never threw the ball over the top until the game was over. Not one time. They get the ball back. They run Singleton. They get a first one's 1st and 15. They hand the ball to Singleton for 2. They then dump the ball to Singleton for 10 yards. And then on 3rd down, Allen tries to run for a 1st down. Not one time did they attack the Notre Dame defense. Not one time in the game. And you know what? That 3 and out set up what happened at the end of that game, because they could have been in control there. But again, their inability or just reluctance, or I don't know what, to throw the ball outside deep on Notre Dame, which is what, even before the game, Saban said it. Hey, Penn State's going to be able to make big plays on Notre Dame. I think it could be the difference in the game. They never tried it. They got the tight end for 20. They got the backup tight end for 20. They never once threw the ball near a wide receiver until the game was over and a desperation throw got intercepted. It makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. I just didn't understand it on any level. I know they move the ball okay. I know they're a team that doesn't throw a lot of balls to the wide receivers, but not to complete a pass to a wide receiver the entire game? Insanity. Interception on a bad throw, and then Notre Dame does what they do. They find a way to get the ball, which they didn't have to go too far. They had to drive the ball about 17 yards. They drove it exactly 17 yards. They got them inside a comfortable field goal range. Now, interesting, in the regular season, Notre Dame missed a lot of field goals. And in the playoffs, their kick has been good. And he was good again in the big spot in this game. And Notre Dame now plays for a championship. Was it a good game? Yes. Was it a back and forth game? Yes. Lead changes? Yes. 2 solid, very competitive teams? Yes. Did the better team win? I think they're pretty close. But I think Notre Dame, this Notre Dame team, knows how to win. That's the thing they've shown all year. They have a toughness. They have a cohesiveness. They have a resiliency that has been there all year, that they will make plays. I saw a couple of people at halftime thinking, hey, Notre Dame's in big trouble. I didn't think Notre Dame was in big trouble at halftime. I thought they were in trouble for a minute at 10-0, and I thought the 3 points was really big. I was worried what was going to happen if their starting quarterback wasn't coming back. Because although he moved the ball for the field goal, they would have made an adjustment on him in the second half, and his inability to run would have been a major detriment especially with the 2 offensive linemen out. It didn't happen. So they got just what they needed from him, and his 3 points were really big. Do not discount them, because they changed the psychology of the game. They gave Notre Dame a lift going in. Notre Dame made some subtle different changes at halftime, comes out roaring. Next thing you know, they lead 17-10, and we got a ball game. Give Penn State credit. They came roaring back. They're a legitimate good team. They're a legitimate top 5 or 6 team. They were in this game all the way. They put forth a good effort, but Notre Dame wasn't physically tougher. They were mentally tougher. Notre Dame wasn't physically tougher. They're missing their best defensive tackle. They were missing 2 offensive linemen. They're playing with a hurt running back. They're playing with a quarterback who left the game what they thought was maybe a mild concussion. They were banged up, but they're tough. and they're resilient and they know how to win. You get sometimes good teams that play great in a season. This is a team that is a good team that plays great. I don't think they're a great team. I think they're a good team that plays great. And that sometimes is more than enough to win a championship. And now they will get to heal a little bit. Hopefully, they don't lose these offensive linemen for long because they're going to need them. They'll sit back and watch what happens. I think they're going to wind up playing Ohio State, and they'll be, if Ohio State plays as solidly as I expect them to play tomorrow night, it'll be Notre Dame, Ohio State. Notre Dame will be a solid underdog, deservedly so, but they will have a good chance in that game. They will have a solid chance in that game. I told you all season, I thought Notre Dame this year was different. I told you that I thought they could play for a national title. And when the playoffs started, I told you they would make the final. Here they are. It wasn't easy. Didn't think it would be because that's the way they play. And I'm telling you, I never understand. First of all, Franklin and I have had our issues. We know that. But I have never understood him in a big spot. And I still don't. How you can ignore not only a part of your game, but ignore something that is such a matchup edge for you. Notre Dame was daring them to throw the ball deep. And they didn't try it once. And if you've watched if you watched the Georgia game last week, Georgia got behind them 3 or 4 times. The quarterback had only played 1 week all year. They had the speedsters to get behind them. They never, ever tried. Ever. They were going to play this game inside a box offensively, and they did. They ran the ball well. They knew they would run the ball well. They thought they had a physical edge, and I think considering the fact that Notre Dame's best defensive lineman was out, they did have an edge on the defensive line. But when it counted, Notre Dame was able to get them off the field in big spots. And when the game was on the line, when they could have driven and had the last possession of regulation, they couldn't get the ball up the field. They could not move the chains. And they did not try to go after Notre Dame's vulnerability, which to me is what cost them this shot at the championship. The way Notre Dame had to play Penn State tonight, I think if they had brought the wide receivers into the game, I think it would have been too much for Notre Dame to handle. They didn't do that. Give Notre Dame credit for attacking what they had to attack. Again, I always come away in big Penn State games scratching my head. I do again tonight. I don't like anything they did in the last 5 minutes of this game. And it cost them a chance to play for a championship. And now the Irish get to play for a championship. And you know what? They are a dangerous, dangerous team. I don't care if it's Ohio State. And listen, Texas has got, I am not trying to downgrade Texas's ability, but I think Texas has better personnel than they play. And I think their quarterback is erratic, and he's going to have to give you an A game tomorrow night, or Ohio State's going to win. And Texas plays a lot of zone coverage. If they try that and try to play what is a regular zone coverage against Jeremiah Smith, they are going to get destroyed. If they don't come up with a special defense to take him out of the game and make somebody else beat them, they let him rack up another one of these games, you can forget it. That has to be, they've had all this time to look at the Tennessee tape. They've had all this time to look at the Oregon's game. If they don't realize they have to do something special to stop this guy, then they're not paying attention. But I think Ohio State's hot right now. I think they're playing better than anybody else, and I think they're going to storm their way into the championship. Notre Dame, Ohio State, I think is going to be the championship. Thought so. I thought the Irish would find a way to survive tonight. They did. Wasn't easy. Good game, even game. Penn State played them toe to toe. Times they had the upper hand. At times Notre Dame had the upper hand. Good, solid game. Could have gone either way. But this Notre Dame team has the one quality in teams you should never, ever overlook. They know how to win. They know how to win tight games. And that is a quality that when a team has it in abundance, be careful. And that's why whoever meets them in the championship game better acknowledge that this team, which was playing after the Northern Illinois game with no margin the entire season, this team knows how to win. Did they play the toughest schedule? No, they didn't. But they won the games they had to win. And nobody's beaten them in a long time. And now you can add Indiana and Georgia and Penn State to that list. There's only one more team gets a shot. Notre Dame gets to play for a championship. Haven't won a championship since the days of Lou Holtz. Been a long time coming. We'll see you tomorrow in the morning with our Football Friday show as we get ready. This was day one of this 5-day primetime, big-time championship football. College, NFL. I'm sure you know by now that because of these tragic, horrific fires in California, the NFL has moved the Viking Ram game to Arizona. They had to do it. I mean, no one can question that. It's a smart move. It had to happen. Is it the fairest thing in the world to the Rams? No, but you know what? It is what it is. Does that impact how the crowd, how the crowd is in the building as far as how many Ram fans, how many Viking fans? Yeah, probably. But you know what? So be it. Sometimes you got to deal with things that happen. There was no way to play that game, and nor should they play the game with the tragedy and the horrific things that are going on right now and the devastation. Our prayers and our thoughts go out to what's going on in California. It's devastating if you watch this. Imagine being there and being so helpless as that your house is just burnt. You've watched, a house you've lived in for 20, 25 years. Everything you own, everything's just burning to the ground. I mean, it's dreadful. Dreadful. It shows you how powerless we really are against nature when nature just takes its course. It's remarkable. I mean, they're really helpless until the winds die down. They're just helpless. So we send our best to those people, and the game has been moved Monday night to Arizona, as it should be. So tomorrow night, Ohio State and Texas. And then, of course, Saturday, doubleheader, Sunday, tripleheader, and then the Rams and the Vikings on Monday night. We'll get to all those games. We'll get to all the playoff stuff, the latest on the coaching situations. We'll get to that with our Football Friday show tomorrow. And then we'll be on tomorrow night. We'll be on Saturday night. We'll be on Sunday. After the playoff games, we'll be on Monday. So you're going to see a lot of us next couple of days. We'll see you in the morning.